Assalamualaikum. You're watching Kaushik Zubair on Islam 101. In this series, I talk about how to implement Quran in our lives. In this particular episode, I'll be addressing the purpose of Quran, and in light of that, we'll be addressing few related components. First, to look into the purpose of Quran, let's look into how the creator of Quran has defined it in the following 5 verses. Allah tells us in verse 69 of Surah Yasin, "It is nothing but an advice and a book making things clear." In another verse, verse 52 of Surah Ash-Ashura, Allah tells us, "We have made it a light with which we guide whomsoever we will from among our servants." In verse 4 of Surah Az-Zukhruf, Allah calls Quran full of wisdom. Further, in verse 17 of Surah Al-Qamar, Allah tells us, "Indeed, we have made the Quran easy for seeking advice. So is there one to heed to the advice?" Moreover, in Surah An-Nur, verse 34, Allah says, "Indeed, we have sent down to you enlightening verses and an exemplary description of those who passed away before you, and a good counsel for the God-fearing." So if we look at how Allah has described Quran verse after verse, He has defined it as a source of advice, guidance, or wisdom. So do we, as the recipient of this guidance, use it in that manner? Do we reach out to Quran to find solutions to our problems? If not, why not? Do we not believe that Quran is a book full of wisdom? Or is it just something from the past that doesn't really apply in today's world? Let's ponder over these questions, as they may help us realize that we are not as close to Quran as we should be or claim to be. Now, as we have dived a little deeper into the purpose of Quran, let's look into a related and maybe an underlying issue of why we don't understand the true purpose of Quran. If I look at the Muslim population around the world, I can say that out of the 1.8 billion Muslims in the world today, only 20% are Arabs. Most of the Muslims, especially non-Arabs and some Arabs as well, do not understand Quranic Arabic. However, most of the Muslims read Quran in Arabic language because of the notion that reading Quran in Arabic brings you blessings. As a result, unfortunately, most of the people recite Quran, even memorize it cover to cover, without understanding any part of it. Now let's look into what Allah tells us about revealing the Quran in the Arabic language. In second verse of Surah Yusuf, Allah says, "We have sent it down as an Arabic Quran so that you may understand." Also in verse 3 of Surah Az-Zukhruf, Allah tells us, "Verily, we have made it a Quran in Arabic that you may be able to understand." So again, the only reason it appears to me that Quran was revealed in Arabic was because it was revealed to the people of Arabia who spoke Arabic language. From the verses that defined the purpose of Quran and few verses that I quoted about it being in Arabic, it is apparent that Quran was revealed to share stories from the past, validating some and providing more accurate account of others, with every story having a message or a lesson to learn. It is also a book of warnings, rules, and regulations, so we stay on the path of righteousness and don't transgress. It's a book of knowledge, and by gaining that knowledge, we can gain wisdom, which is the ultimate purpose of Quran, to make us wiser, so we achieve taqwa, which is awareness of God. It's a book that opens up to us as we read it more and more. However, if we don't read it in a language that we understand, what good is this book, which is full of wisdom to us anyway? If we don't read Quran with understanding, what it does is that it prevents us from gaining knowledge, getting closer to our Creator, and living a life that is based on Islamic principles. If we read Quran in the language that we understand, all stories or anecdotes that we learn about help us to love Quran and appreciate it. At this point, I would also point out another verse, verse 107 from Surah Al-Isra, that states, "Believe in it or do not believe in it. When it is recited to those who were given knowledge before it, they fall down on their faces in prostration." If we don't understand Quranic language and we continue to recite it, can it have that impact on a reciter? My guesstimate is a big no. In various stories that Allah tells us in Quran, many a times after telling their story, Allah poses a question, "Don't you understand?" Growing up in Pakistan and reading Quran in Arabic since childhood, I had no idea that Allah actually wanted me to understand Quran, understand its wisdom, and follow the path defined in it. Even though I must have read Quran several times in Arabic, but I was clueless about the teachings of Islam. As I am on the topic of purpose of Quran, I'll also bring up another related issue, which arises as a result of our lack of understanding, which we do when we do our daily prayers. We recite verse 5 of Surah Fatiha at least 17 times, the verse in which we claim Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, meaning you alone do we worship and from you alone do we seek help. If I want to put everything into buckets, there are only two. One bucket is of the Creator and the other bucket is of creation. Many times we see Quranic verses hanging on a wall or at the entrance of the houses for safety or protection. Many people put them in their vehicles for the same reason, or they hang them for blessings in their house or a place of work. I am not arguing that there is no power in Quranic verses, because there is, as long as we recite them aloud or in our hearts with deeper understanding. However, just merely hanging Quranic verses for protection or to gain blessings is nothing less than shirk, idolatry. Even Quran, a book full of guidance and wisdom, is a creation and not a creator, and we should not expect it to protect us just merely in its physical form. If we do it, God forbids, because we cannot comprehend presence of God around us without seeing some physical manifestation of His verses, that's a totally different ball game, and we need to check our level of faith at that point. Also, doing calligraphy using Quranic verses, where for the most part we cannot even read verses or make sense due to their artistic nature, is a plain insult to the Book of Allah, a book full of wisdom. We should check our intentions of why we do it, and if our intentions are not in the right place, we should abandon that practice as well. Please give this topic, purpose of Quran, a thought. We should be asking ourselves if we truly use Quran for its intended purposes of gaining wisdom and implementing it in our lives. Because once we do that, not only then we live a life Allah wants us to, but also we can witness the miracles it does for us. Please follow this channel on YouTube or like my page on Facebook with the same name, Kaushik Zubair on Islam 101, to be in the know of upcoming posts or videos. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.